Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Walk the Dog Cinema. As you can see, the rain clouds behind me. It's been raining. I'm trying to get this vlog in while walking the dog before she starts bouncing off the walls, and I got a little bit of a break in the weather. So I wanted to talk to you all about a movie I just watched, obviously, and get the Rokaroo some good exercise here before she starts driving me crazy. Me and the wife, So, kind of getting into it right away. Just gonna discuss right off the back before I even tell you the movie. But spoiler alert all over the place. But the movie that I'm going to review, it ends with us. Obviously, it's been in the news a lot. It labeled, romance, and rightfully so. It works within the genre. Definitely the love part, kind of conquering all within aspects of this movie. The theme works well, and it was a movie I sat down, watched with the wife. She kind of, probably because of all the controversy, really had been wanting to see this for some time. And if you don't know the controversy, between the director and the lead actor and Blake Lively and all that, and Ryan Reynolds, total craziness. I'm not going to get into it too much. But I will say that probably had a little bit to do with picking this film and everything. But, kind of, it's on Netflix. It did make quite a bit of noise at the box office this year with 150 million, 160 million or something. I'm gonna be honest, after seeing it, it kind of tripped me out that it did. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say it was a completely bad movie. But as I get into this a little bit more, I will say right out of the gate that you could probably spend your 2 hours watching better stuff, for sure. I will give it points for trying something a little bit original. I think Justin Baldoni did a pretty good job directing the movie. Got some pretty decent performances. The movie looks great. The cinematographer, the lighting, some of the set designs, capturing kind of that flavor. It's supposed to be in Boston. I haven't been to that city in a long time. I don't inherently know if it inherently looks like Boston. I know the skyline shots do, but I don't know if it really captures that kind of flavor from what I've seen from other movies and what I kind of remember of Boston. But because it was shot in New Jersey, and to be honest, kind of feels more New Jersey-ish, New York-ish, Sex in the City kind of vibe going on for me instead of Boston. So there is that. And that might be because Blake Lively and their choice in terms of what her character, Lily Bloom, the florist, wears and dresses as and stuff. And it kind of, and again, on another level, we're dealing with, I hate to say it, but like, back in the day, we call them yuppie movies. It has that kind of St. Elmo's Fire with modern sensibilities and language. And so there's aspects to all of that, So here we go, big spoilers. If you've never seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, I'd say stop now. Otherwise, continue on and listen to everything. I'm going to kind of get a little in depth about why I say the 2 hours and you could spend it elsewhere. Because as good as the acting may be at times, as good as the directing may be at times, there is a choice right in the middle of the movie, or as we get closer to the end. But it does happen in the middle of the movie as it starts, that then leads to the end. That, to me, is a cardinal sin in film. And the whole crux of the film is kind of a strange choice, because the movie is about domestic violence. And so I don't know why you would frame such a thing with a plot twist. And what I mean by a plot twist in this sense, it isn't like plot twist like, oh, something else comes out of nowhere and changes the whole scruples of the movie. No, the movie is about domestic violence from beginning to end, straight up and down, and how Lily Bloom, Blake Lively's character, finds to break that cycle, love herself within that, and realize that she's not inherently a victim. She has control of her own destiny within this, and then possibly finding love with a good guy. Okay, so that's kind of the theme basis of the movie. And also, you know, within there, she learns to love her mom, understand her mom, who was very abused by her dad, forgives her dad, but at the same time doesn't have anything ever nice to say. But she comes to grips with letting that go. So there's that. But it commits a huge cardinal sin to me. And how it gets there, I'll just set it up. Justin Baldoni, Riley, they call him. He's a neurosurgeon. You know, he's very coiffed, handsome guy with the full beard, but more like a full, I wouldn't even call it 5 o'clock shadow, but a full 8 o'clock shadow. Because it's not a totally full beard, but it is very, it's coiffed and makes it look like a 5 o'clock shadow. And we'll go there as I take care of my dog real quick. So hold on. So within that, you know, that stuff doesn't bother me. You know, that's, you know, it's Hollywood, whether we look like that or not. You know, it works in the movie and stuff like that. That's fine. I'm just saying, you know, the movie is inherently making Riley highly handsome, highly sought after, you know, rich, neurosurgeon, smart, you know, and he's got the character flaw that he's going to be an abuser and highly manipulative, okay? And within all those factors, yes, it's cliched. And again, we've talked about cliches before. They can be comforting on a certain level, and it sets up, you know, parameters. The movie doesn't fall into the trap of making it completely one-dimensional. They try to add some nuance to it, but the movie isn't subtle, so it just gets down to that. So, you know, it's a lot of meet cute. There's some strange conversations within that meet cute that tries to make it very erotic and, again, meet cute. And on some level, the characters do talk like they're kind of not human, and dialogue, maybe with the younger generation, maybe they talk to themselves that way. I have kids in the generation that it is right now, you know, and they're older and they don't even talk like this. So, you know, and their friends don't in some sense. So, you know, maybe with each other, I just never see it. But so there's some moments within the dialogue for me that maybe it's a generational thing that's kind of laughable, the way these people talk to each other. But then, you know, the characters are kind of treated younger, but they're older actors. And so there's some weirdness with that, because you think these are 30-year-old people. And so, and that doesn't happen throughout the whole movie. There's just some moments that feels like it was reshot or redone or rescripted. I don't know. It does come from a book, so maybe it's verbatim from the book. I don't know. But it within the material that we're talking about, its heavy themes, it kind of makes you chuckle in the wrong ways. Doesn't kill the movie, but it will pull you out at times with things. So sets up, seems like this great guy. I don't know if I missed it. I mean, I was paying attention to this movie. I wasn't bored. I was along for the ride in that sense, but I've even kind of had to go look it for myself, because you have a certain idea in your head about the mistakes within the movie that I didn't feel were warranted or set up correctly. And there's people talking about how there were red flags from him right out of the gate in certain instances, and I don't know if it's because I'm a guy or it just wasn't set up well within the film. But my wife even had the same reaction, and in no way am I even like this guy or ever been really around men that are inherently abusive. So, but the red flags that he threw out, I think of the context within the film, from even on the lady, they both kind of had red flags with each other. And I mean, I thought they were dealing with their grief, and that's kind of where we're going with on both sides. So I don't inherently know how you get from point A to point B, even in the movie. And like I said, I couldn't even explain what those red flags were or what. They're meet cute up on the roof. I mean, she breaks in to the building, which ended up being his apartment building complex. So that's a red flag from her for doing these things because she liked the view. And his red flag, I guess, was kicking a chair. But it never explains why he's angry, except it kind of did, saying he lost a patient who ended up blowing his brains out with a gun. And of course, that's going to come back because he blew accidentally his older brother's brains out with a gun. And so there's psychological damage there. And they're flirting with each other. They kind of tell some deeply personal things about sex right off the gate. And so, like, both sides, I guess you could say, from the whole get-go, it's all red flag. But you could also just look at it and kind of go, well, they're just kind of being honest with each other. I don't know. Well, anyhow, the scene works. But again, it's these build-ups that really aren't building up. They're trying to be kind of erotic and sensual, and to some degree they are. They play cat and mouse a little bit with each other. But as we get into it, the big buildup is the first time he hits her. And this is the whole crux of the movie about violence. And this is what I mean, the cardinal sin of moviedom. I hope we can all agree, movies are first and foremost visual. What we are showing is what it is to us in that moment. And this movie shows all the violence done to Blake Lively's character, which is 2 incidences, to be completely accidental. It is shot that way. It is shown that way. And then at the end of the movie, it is shown totally different, as Blake Lively experienced it, that he was abusive. And when you see the movie and you get to the first scene where he's cooking dinner, they're flirting with each other, his dish is burning, and he's never shown to be anywhere like OCD or belligerent in this manner. He gets all pissed off, but inherently not even at her about burning his dish. He does a kind of stupid act, which sometimes I'll admit us guys can do, but he reaches in to grab this flaming ass hot glass thing, burns his hands, and as he flings back, he pops Blake Lively in the face because she's right there, right? And oh, I'm so sorry, and the way he acts about it. And when you see it the first time, it's clearly showing it's an accident. And yes, she has flashbacks to what happened with her dad, so she's over personalizing it within the context of the movie. It's shown no other way. I understand how we can emotionally take it, and there's nothing wrong with emotionally taking it that way thing, But I'm just saying, from a visual standpoint, that is literally how it's shot. If you all have different manners on that, leave it in the comments. I'd be curious to hear your perspective about it, but I'm not misreading that. I even went back to those scenes to kind of look at them and kind of take it in again at the end of this, because it changed my whole view of the movie. And then, and then there's a sequence where he gets mad. On one level, he has every right to be mad about the old ex-boyfriend putting his phone number into her phone. And again, because the old boyfriend got into a fight with the husband now, and because he takes it as abuse, though we're clearly showing that it wasn't abuse, and it was a reaction, she doesn't insinuate it. And so to me, it's a cardinal sin, because they're framing all these other actions around it, and it could have been an interesting look at things, how people take it and are perceived and all of these things. And if you were to take it as such, that'd be fine if it went that way. But you could also see that it wasn't going that way. And so it just was a really mitigating disaster for me in that level, to show something that wasn't, and then the movie's playing it in a totally different direction. And so we get to where he's mad. He kind of storms off. She starts chasing after him. He's literally telling her, no, stay away from me. I'm angry right now. He's literally putting up his boundaries. Literally. And I'm not going to say, and she's chasing after him and kind of pushes her away a little bit. And then they get into a stairwell and she encroaches in on him again, and she falls down the stairs. Again, it commits the sin of showing it like he didn't push her. And I'll get to the plot twist, okay? And she falls down the stairs, and then now it shows him taking care of her. She's all cut, and she's, kind of going over in her head. Did he do this? And to me, as a guy, I'm looking at this going, oh my gosh, wow, like what the heck is this movie doing? Is it gonna go there? But it's also making it isn't making me unsympathetic to the male character. So I don't kind of get what the movie's trying to do or tell me at this point. Like I said, the movie's not subtle, but then it's like, I guess, trying to be subtle. And so that's where I say that the movie loses itself on these two incidences. And to keep going with it, this guy Atlas, who was her first love, is the whole setup, that she lost her virginity. He was homeless because of domestic violence himself, and he's now back in her life, owns this restaurant, and now she's having second thoughts about her husband, who on lots of levels, besides these two incidences, which very much the movie has shown us has been mistakes, she's having second thoughts. And so to me, I get the second thought thing, but I don't know how we have sympathy for Blake Lively's character at this point, because it kind of, to me, made her seem like a kind of a mad girl, or someone who really needs to take care of their own issues that she's projecting onto someone who is rather nice and good and all these things. Long story short, after that, we get to the husband basically gonna sexually assault his wife over a pretty dumb thing, in the sense that she makes it in the magazine as a top 10 new business. Number 1 is the restaurant with this Atlas guy. The husband already knows about him, knows that she's kind of still in love with him, even though that isn't set up so well in the second half of it. But we do get flashbacks to when they first fell in love, and those are cute and well done, so we get it. And now we actually see real abuse. I mean, it the husband is just a complete schmuck in this part of it, and she has a tattoo of this heart that he tries to bite off, and it's pretty, I wouldn't say harrowing, but you're just like, oh, what an a-hole. And she gets out and away from it, goes to Atlas, and he helps her through it. She finds out she's pregnant with this baby, and we get to where she deals with it in montage, and she has the baby, and she lets her husband in on it, names her after his brother that he killed, and then he tries to get back with her, and she basically, would you get back with your, because it's a daughter, if your daughter went through these things. And of course he says no, and it's all very wrapped up and tight like a bow. Real guy that's abusive like that, I don't know if he's that understanding, on those levels. But the other part of it all, right before we get there, they show us what actually happened. And again, Blake Lively has a flashback to what happened. And so you could take it, because of the issues that we're dealing with, you could take it that's just what she remembers it as. That didn't actually happen, because remember, what we were showing clearly looks like an accident. I'm sorry, it does. Stupid decisions on both parties, but accidents. And it kind of tries to get into the whole toxic masculinity thing and all that stuff. But like I said, the second part that he was mad at on a certain level, right or wrong about certain things, and yes, there's an insecurity thing there, I get it, but at the same time, he had a right to be mad about the phone and the phone number being given by Atlas and all that. And it shows us that when he burned his hand, he had the audacity then, right in that moment, to turn around and just like full-on cold cock Blake Lively. That's not what we were showing. It's a completely different avenue of what happened. Why? I don't know why the movie even went with some sort of plot twist. It's exacerbating in that regard. Like, you just go, what the heck? Okay. And then the push down the stairs. Yeah, she was chasing after him. And he literally, as she cuts in front of him, he just shoves her down the stairs. That is not what we were showing the first time. And so all of it, if that is really what happened, is a cheat. Such a cheat. Unearned cheat. To show us visually something different, that you experience the movie one way, and then flip it on the audience's head, and then stick them like that, and then you go, well, of course not, she shouldn't get with the guy, and if the whole point is to make us feel like that's how abused people go through and all that, I guess okay. But the flip side of it is BS, because to me, a lot of it, that I've met some people who have gone through it, a lot of it is denial. And that's not denial on our part. We are showing something. We are thinking of it at a totally different level because of the visuality of it, not because of what we were told or shown, and then we're in denial as characters. No, reality is, in movies, kind of sacrosanct on what we were shown. So it's not earned. That's why I say you can use your 2 hours somewhere else, and cardinal sin of that. And so in that regard, I didn't like it. Everything else around it was good, but because of those two, it just, for me, horrible viewing experience in that regard. Kind of disappointed in that, because it was kind of starting off good in bits and pieces. I heard there's another cut from the director, because this is kind of more of the Blake Lively cut. I would say I would love to see that, to see if it changes or there's difference with that, just to kind of go with there for my own self as a movie reviewer and just kind of movies in general. So I say stay clear of this one. If you feel differently, leave your comments below. Or if you've seen it and you have the same feelings as I do, like, again, let's start a conversation about this. If you like more of this and everything else, and you want to join the community, please subscribe. And I'm looking forward to our next film. And I have a good one for Valentine's Day coming up. I already have it in my head, and so I will surprise you all then on Valentine's Day. Otherwise, everyone, have a good one. Bye.